Bonjour and Anine. This is Gigi's Vintage Therapy, and it's Memorial Day. I know that I haven't been online for about 3 weeks or so. That is because I had minor surgery, and everything is okay. So we'll leave it at that. um, and I have a band-aid on my thumb, but that's where the minor surgery was. So okay, so today I'm gonna do a little disclaimer for transparency's sake, and that is, I think I had mentioned this in the past, but when I was working, I could afford to dry clean all my dresses and items, but now it is getting very expensive, and for antique and vintage clothing, I don't know if anybody out there, any of you have experienced this, but if they have to do I mean the dry cleaners, if they have to do anything special to antique or vintage clothes, like if they have to take things off in order to clean them, or even wash them by hand, or whatever they do, special attention is given, if special attention is given to an outfit or a dress or piece of clothing. That's when the bucks go up, and it could be anywhere from $75 to $100 a piece. So of course, if I was keeping things, I suppose I wouldn't mind paying that, because then it would mean they would get special attention in that. The ones that you can't wash or whatever, take care of it yourself, I wouldn't mind paying that, I guess, but I can't. It wouldn't make any sense for me to go that route. And I will let you know, because we're going to be going over antique dresses. So Edwardian, Victorian, 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I will be going over each garment in detail. And some of the dresses or items, I've included a necklace or a piece of jewelry. And I'll go over that piece of jewelry as well, because as I mentioned before, I will always incorporate jewelry with the vintage clothes and vice versa. I also have a tray of some jewelry pieces in front of me here. Also, when I do the washing or cleaning of these outfits or these dresses, I am mindful of the aesthetic quality. In other words, I try not to change the garment. For example, and I'll point some of this out to you. For example, if a dress has some imitation flowers on it, because that is what they did with some of these dresses in the 30s and the 20s, and if they're still intact, I will clean the garment as much best I can, and then put the embellishment back on. The other thing is, and I think I need to say this, and I would imagine all resellers out there have said this, that when we're dealing with items or garments or these beautiful pieces of history, we can't expect them to be perfect. You know, there might be a pinhole here, a small stain here or there, and of course the price is taken into consideration too for those types of things. But what you're buying is a piece of history, and a lot of these garments that I have are in very good condition. And I will also let you know if there's a spot, a hole, or a whatever on the garment, so you can make up your mind if you want to pay the price or not. And I'll tell you which ones I've cleaned and which ones I haven't cleaned. That is, which ones I haven't dry cleaned because of it being too spendy now. Okay, yeah, so in cleaning garments, it's important not to change the aesthetic quality of the garment or the dress, unless it is so damaged that you have to do something other than keep it as original as you possibly can. Now, and when we're paying those high prices, we're actually paying for actual restoration of an item. And that's why I will not be paying those fees for restoration, because I'm not keeping this stuff. I am hopefully selling everything. So just keep that in mind. The 1920s dresses, I have learned so much steaming and cleaning and on these little pieces of history, especially the 1920s dresses. The dye that they used in those dresses, that dye will bleed, it'll fade. So what I did with the 1920s dresses, I aired them out. I had dresses outside in a protected spot, airing out for 6 hours at a clip. So, and then steaming them, and then trying to spot clean the armpit areas. And that's as far as I could go with these 1920s dresses. I clean them as much as I could possibly. If somebody buys them and they want to restore them, then that's the way it should be. So that's my disclaimer. And what we'll do is we will start with the tour. We'll start with the oldest, with the antique dresses, and then we'll go to the 1920s dresses, and then to the 30s, 40s, and I have a few 50s. Now, I don't have a lot of 50s dresses because I'm going to do a whole session on the 1950s clothing items, including the beautiful prom dresses. And I showed, I think, 4 of them, 4 prom dresses. And my mannequin, I call her Julia. She has the prom dress on that she had in video 6. This is video 7. And it's a Fred Perlberg dress. Those were very high-end, and I have a lot of high-end dresses in my collection. So with that, we'll begin the tour. All right. we're starting with is an Edwardian. This is silk, navy blue, fuchsia, and it's got crimped silk for the ruffles. And when I was researching this, now I didn't find this exact print, but what I did see similar was prints that were done on this scale. This is a large scale print on this material by Bianchini Ferrer. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And that was a textile design in Paris. And he would hire Raoul Dufy, who was an artist who would design textiles for Bianchini Ferrer, for the textile people in Paris. So I'm thinking this is so similar, and this is in very good condition. There's no holes. Whoever had this really took care of it. The most I did with this was air it out and do a little bit of steaming. I was kind of reluctant to do hardly anything to this. But this dress is, I am asking $1,500 for this dress because it is a piece of important artwork, I believe. And anybody out there that can identify this dress can text me and let me know what they think it is. But yeah, museum quality antique dress. And next we have a Victorian. Now this is real dark deep blue velvet, and I know it looks black, but it is actually a deep blue bodice, Victorian. And what they would wear these bodices with would be a skirt like this, and it goes longer in the back because this is a bustle. They wore a little bustle underneath the back so that the back would stick out and it would be like this, Victorian era. And I paired it with this blouse. Now what I did with this blouse was, when I got it, it didn't have any buttons. It's got 3 buttons. This is from my collection of buttons, but actually this kind of a blouse would have had shell buttons made out of shell, and would have 4 or 5 buttonholes. But this is, I found this when I was researching as a Victorian or Edwardian blouse. And this is in excellent condition. In this blouse is, I need to see my notes, what we call gigot, G-I-G-O-T, or gigot sleeves. And it has black lace and a satin pleating here. And this is in very good condition. This is the inside. It's boned. No holes. That's the back. In this bodice, I'm asking $200 for. We have the skirt. This is actually organza, and it's a beige organza with embroidered pink, almost like polka dots, with the lace and satin at the top here. And this ribbon here looks like it's starting to shatter, but I have ribbon here, and this is enough organza material to make the pigeon blouse that should be worn with this. And that goes with the skirt. That will be sold with the skirt. This comes as a whole item. And this skirt is $250, and you get the extra material. And there's pleating in the front. It's very well made. Look at the thread work. And this is the back. And there is more pink ribbon. So this ribbon up here could be replaced very easily. Is the beige 1920s blouse. This is actually 1920s, I believe. It's sheer silk blouse. Like I said, the buttons are not original. It didn't have buttons when I got it, so I put buttons on. I have a button collection, and these buttons were the only ones, well, they had to be light because this is a light blouse, and these were the only buttons that could fit those buttonholes that I could find. That was a good, is $80. And next we have, now this is a authentic, what we call Gibson girl. If you Google Gibson girl, those are the women from the Victorian era that had the hair piled up with the curls and the tendril curls coming down. And this is this skirt would have been worn with a bustle as well. It comes longer in the back. And I did wash this. I washed it myself. And this is the pigeon top that goes with the skirt. And this is like a white, let me look at my notes. It's a it's a two-piece lawn or lingerie, and this is most likely cotton muslin. But this washes up really nice. And there's no issues. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty clean. You can use OxyClean on this too. That's what I did. Oh, and the collar. Now, when I got this still had the wire, the little white wire in the collar that kept this collar up, because this collar is supposed to hug up to the napier neck like that. But I had to take them off. They go right in here. But see, they were making rust marks. That's why I had to remove them. So whoever gets this could get some of that white wire and put it in to make it more to keep with the aesthetic quality and the era of the skirt and blouse. Now these, well, actually this is a pigeon blouse. I don't have the skirt to it. I also washed this. There's some staining here. This you can soak in OxyClean. I probably could use another soaking for this part, but be very careful this lace. You don't want to put holes in that lace. Or you could dye it. Let's see. This two-piece set, this lawn skirt and the pigeon blouse top matching, is $250. It's in very good condition. Now let me, is this one. This is the antique white lace lingerie white silk tulle dress with white lily of the valley embroidery, and it has 3 tiers. And there are a few issues with this dress. I noticed there's some holes right here where that has separated, and right here. But other than that, it's in very good condition. Now, I did not wash this dress or anything. I aired it out. I didn't want to wash it because of this ribbon. Because what I've noticed on these antique items is even with dry cleaning. Dry cleaning could shatter a ribbon like this. It would become in just all shattered. So I didn't want to. This is something that would have to be restored. They would take this ribbon off if they were to clean it. I'm sure it could go in the water, but they have to do very carefully. This ribbon here looks like it's got some separation too. So this ribbon might have to be replaced. And considering all of that, this is a very beautiful, it's together as much as it is. And then it has these crocheted or supposed to be lace. I think these are supposed to be white rosebuds because they got them there and then they got them here. I think those are supposed to be rosebuds, white. I called them pine cones before, but this is, because of the condition, $125. The black dress here, this is what you call an armistice dress. I did the research, and these kind of dresses, see how wide and boxy they are? These are Edwardian, but it could be a utilitarian dress. In other words, it could have been a uniform, because the women before World War I, or maybe during World War I, they would be bus drivers, and they wore a military uniform when they were assigned a certain employment, like a bus driver or even a policewoman back in the day. And when I researched this is the shape in that of a armistice dress. And this is in very good condition. It's very sturdy. But this is an example of, I had it dry cleaned, and this is what happened. See that lace, or that silk? The silk was fragile, and it started shredding. But this could be easily replaced too. And I do have black silk. If anybody is interested in this, I can send the black silk that I have to be replaced. I'm not going to do any more with this dress than I have already. And I put this on here because I found this piece of lace, like a shawl almost, and it has the collar here. This has been washed, and then this actually goes with this armistice dress. This hooks right on the back here, and it is not, I thought maybe it was a morning dress, but if it had that white collar on, that would not be a morning dress. Plus it has this beautiful black glass, I don't know if that's glass or what they call that stone that's made out of coal. Back in the day they used a lot of it, and it has beautiful buttons down the sleeves. And this is almost like a very sturdy file, F-A-I-L-L-E material. And then of course the beautiful lace right here. Excellent condition except for that shattered ribbon trim around the hem. And the armistice dress is, let's see, the armistice dress, the black armistice dress, is $80. Okay, next we have an antique Edwardian lingerie dress. It has white work. This is the white work. These. And it has it on the hem as well, toward the hem. And it has ruffles. And it has tulle lining. So there's another layer under here of tulle. And this I washed. Used OxyClean on it. It came out great. And then we have the collar, the big collar in the back, and then a little collar on top of that, and the lace again on the sleeves and the ruffles. This is beautiful. And I paired it with this Victorian belt. Now this has what we call lady with flowing hair and blossoms. And this is what an Edwardian would have wore with a Victorian dress. With something like this, or maybe a Victorian dress printed, but this is what they would have worn. And that dress is $150. There's no holes. I couldn't find any holes on this dress, so it's in very good condition. $150. And then the Art Nouveau belt, it's Art Nouveau, is $80. It's brass, and this is non-magnetic metal. And I put it on this leather belt because what they usually had these on were black velvet ribbons, but I felt that the velvet wasn't sturdy enough to hold this metal. Here, I think you get the idea of how it would look if so it would be worn like this over this. This is actually a band that this dress is attached to in the skirt, so it'd be worn over that band like this with the biggest Art Nouveau woman with flowing hair in the middle, and then it would be buckled in the back, so it would look like that. It would hide that band. Okay. And I think I said this belt was $80.
Mm-hmm.
So next we have an antique organdy filet. Now this is filet, F-I-L-E-T or F-I-L-L-E-T. This is the filet lace. And this is the filet lace as well. And this is a picture of a phoenix bird. So there's a phoenix bird on both sides of this dress. Actually, this is a lingerie slip dress with filet lace. And I did wash this, and this came out really good. Now these may look very fragile, but they are sturdy. I mean, you don't rub and all of that, but you wash very gently. OxyClean as well. But what I did was I took the flowers off, because what I'm finding with these antique dresses is that the silk, if there's any embellishments, they will bleed and run. And I didn't want to take a chance, so I took them off and I sewed them back on. But what I also did, because there was one stain on this that I couldn't get out, so I moved the flowers, I moved this to cover that spot, which is right here. I got a lot of it out because this was very dark. So I put it over that, and then I just lined this up with this one. And I took the ribbon off, but I put the original ribbon back on. And it is kind of, you might want to change the ribbon on this. It snaps down the back. But this is beautiful. I mean, you could wear this. Yeah. Yeah, that is a piece of history, beautiful history. So, and that dress is $125. Phoenix bird filet lace. Now we have let's see, we have a antique Edwardian lace and tulle top or blouse pigeon bust. Pigeon bust, of course, is where they had the mono bosoms back in the Victorian age. Pigeon bust. This would be worn over a skirt that had a bustle on the back. And like I said about the staining here, this little blouse is $45. This could probably stand another good soaking. I wouldn't be rubbing on that lace though. And then this is an antique corset top. These went over the corsets in the Victorian era. Now these I washed in OxyClean as well. These you can wash and they'll come out nicely. This one is a lacy corset top. These were kind of like the first bras in the Victorian age. There's no holes in this. This is all beautiful lace. This is almost like what they call a fillet lace as well. Fillet is like looking like honeycomb or little blocks of lace. And those are both, this is $40 and this is $40. And then next we have a white linen. This is linen with pockets. And what I think this is, well, it's a pinafore for one thing. It's that pinafore style, like an apron. And it's got the covered lace. This is like crocheting, but they refer to it as lace over the buttons. And the reason I say this could be a utilitarian dress, maybe like for a nurse, maybe even a maid. And the reason I say that is because these little pink daisies here, I sewed those on there to cover spots, and not spots but holes. It's almost like it was burn holes or something. Let me open this. As you can see, so there is these. Yep, the holes. And then there's one spot right here. But you don't see that spot anyway because this goes over it. But look at this linen. Beautiful. That pattern. And there are a few pinholes, like right here. Now a restorer can weave these pinholes, believe it or not. That I researched on how to restore fabrics, and that's what they do it when they restore these antique clothing. If there's holes, if there's moth holes or whatever, they can take little pieces of wool off of a suit and mix it in something and slap it onto that hole and iron it, and it's fixed. But that costs money. And look at the big hem in this. And again, this could either be, I don't know that they called it this kind of material gauze. I think it's more like cotton muslin. There's a slight stain right here. But yeah, I think this was more of a utilitarian dress. But it's very pretty. It's pin tucks right here. This is the back of the dress. More pinafore there. The other way you could repair this dress, if you don't like those daisies, you could take those off. And you could cut some of this. This is very long straps that you tie. You could cut some of this off and just sew it right across those holes like that. Very easy fix. And that dress is $150. Okay, and here we have a Victorian white work. This is called white work as well. On the skirt, Victorian skirt. It has a train on the back, so it comes very long in the back. See that? This would have had a bustle like that sticking out to take up some of that length. But look at this white work. It's almost like the flowers are three-dimensional. Well, they are three-dimensional. And then with the little lace in between, and then with the embroidered leaves. Beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with this this skirt. There's no stains. I don't think there's stains. There might be one. The only thing that was wrong is there was a lace. Someone must put their foot through. It was either the bottom, I can't even tell anymore, the bottom or the front. And I very delicately sewed it back. So I do sewing. I'm not a seamstress by any means, and I don't own a sewing machine. I just was never got that domesticated, but I can baste, I can sew buttons, and I can sew a hem, and I can stitch a little bit. So, and this skirt is $125. This probably would have had a nice white work top to it, probably a pigeon breast top blouse. Okay, here we have a silk, black silk, what we call a hobble dress. And we call it a hobble dress, or it's called a hobble dress because it has a narrow hem width. And it's got the balloon sides here. Now these hobble dresses were only made about 6 years back in, this is 1913. So, and some hobble dresses were even more narrow than this one. But this is rare. These hobble dresses are rare. And this is in very good condition. The width of this hem on the bottom is 28 inches. And the hobble dresses has a notorious history because women, they would fall over, they'd hurt themselves because the hems were too narrow. They couldn't move. So that's why it only lasted 6 years, 6 or 10 years, something like that. And then this has silk covered buttons. Look at those little, I think that might be all fabric. And on the sleeves, there's not a button missing on this dress. There is not a snap missing on this dress. Whoever had this dress really took care of it. It's in perfect condition, no holes, no stains. And this dress is $300. Now here's an Edwardian navy blue wool trimmed in soutage ribbon and buttons, and it's got kind of a nautical theme going on here, design. It's a jumper, or it could be part of a walking suit, or it could be a utilitarian dress. Again, some kind of uniform maybe for someone who is working in transit, or maybe even in the Navy. I did research this. I couldn't find this exact top. I think there might have been a skirt that goes under this, and it might have been a walking suit. But there's snaps throughout. This is the back of the dress. Get my gray hair there. And it's in very good condition, no holes whatsoever. And this is very sturdy and heavy. And this comes out. This is a silk insert. All the buttons are there, no holes. And this is $250. We have an antique burgundy silk. I believe this is an overdress. In other words, this would have gone over a more of a tubular shaped dress underneath. It's got metallic lace, When I steam this dress, now this is one of the dresses I had outside for 6 hours, maybe even more because I put it out each day to get aired out. And when I was steaming this dress, this metallic lace is almost like wire. It was bendable, flexible, like almost like fine wire. And then it's trimmed in genuine fur. I don't know what kind of fur that is. And it has some condition issues. I think it had some holes. Oh, I did a patch job down here. Here it is. Because there was a hole there. So this is what it looks like on this side. Those are birds, embroidered birds. And as I say, if somebody buys this, wants to restore it, they could easily take that off and have them weave the hole out, because they would use silk weaving to work on that hole. And I think there's a few other holes on the bottom somewhere. I might have sewed them together though. Yeah. Otherwise, for being this age, it sure is in good condition. There's no pit stains, which is unusual. In this overdress, I'm calling it an overdress, it's got one snap here, is $150. Here we have, this is silk. It's almost like a silk crepe. Now, I did not have this dry cleaned, so whoever gets it should have it dry cleaned. There's some staining, which would most likely come out if it were cleaned. But this has no holes. It's got slight, very slight pit staining. Oh, yeah, yeah. And the buttons are covered with the same kind of fabric, but as you can see, the metal's kind of coming through. But this is beautiful for the age and the condition it's in. All the buttons are there. And it snaps up the side. This is 1920s. Probably late, early 20s. And this dress is $125. Here we have a black lace 1920s dress. Well, actually it's silk. And the lace is the beige silk lace. And there are some issues, as you can see. That lace needs to be sewed together. And then there's lining underneath. Yeah, so this dress is lined, fully lined. This must have been a wealthy person would have had this when they're fully lined like that. And of course, it's coming apart under the arms. I didn't even attempt to mend this. Somebody wants to restore this, they could. Here's coming apart kind of at the shoulders. I had this dry cleaned. And all of that condition issue was there when I put it in the cleaner, so it wasn't the cleaners that did this, because I inspect these dresses before and after. Now this dress is $35. Someone wants to own a piece of history, $35. Yellow 1920s day dress. And I had this cleaned. There's a few little, very light, you can hardly see. This is like almost like a yellow check, very boxy. And this, of course, is the belt, and this goes around the dress. And it's like almost like an apron, but it's two-tier. And this has a huge hem because of the transparency, I think. Yeah, that hem goes all the way up to here. So that's a very, you can see that. That kind of looks like a 12-inch hem. And then with the little ruffles and the little delicate round buttons at the top, the little collar, and here's the back of the dress. Smocking at the top, and pin goes into little pin tucks, like. Very cute. And it's like a light, I'm gonna say gauze, light gauze. I don't know, I think they called it gauze back in the day, but this dress is $60. Is a rust-colored silk Roaring 20s dress. Now I can just see somebody wearing this and doing the Charleston, because there's the fringe. I put it with this beaded necklace. This necklace probably isn't from the Roaring 20s, but it seems appropriate. There are issues with this dress. It's kind of coming apart here where the pin tucks are now. Someone could add a layer of silk and just sturdy up these arms, because the age of this dress, for being as old as it is, it's in pretty good condition. Now, I didn't get this dry cleaned, but I did air it out and I steamed it. And there are some mending that needs to be done. For example, this looks like it's coming apart. I just noticed this here. I didn't see that earlier. So that would take a few stitches. And then there's some spots here. And this, I believe, yeah, this is lined as well. Oh, and then it has this, yeah, see this decorative back here. And that is silk fringes. And I like the way they wove those fringes. Very beautiful. And this little dress is $35. I priced them to go. And day dress. And this is very boxy. This could be worn in the summer. It's got the big hem, the little, almost like the yellow check dress style. And white work up here, the little bitty buttons. And I put a necklace on here. This is a vintage 1980s necklace, bone necklace, off-white, black carved. I think this is bone as well. And it's got a hook clasp, a shepherd's hook. And this little necklace is $45, and it has a 6-inch drop. I thought that went well with this 20s dress, 1920s dress. And this 1920s dress is $40. So here we have a 1920s striped green, yellow, and orange. I think this is a sports dress, and I think this is maybe would have been a tennis dress. And it is shattering right here, but this flounce would probably cover it up. But you know, I don't think, I would certainly either patch this, strengthen this up, or replace that panel and put this back on. And then it also looks like it's shattering here. Now, I've had this dress in storage for at least 10 years, and that's as far as it ever got with the shattering. So if I were going to keep this, I would strengthen that. Well, again, that means restoration and that spending. But other than that, the seams are good. There's no shattering on the seams. Sides are good. This must have had a belt or probably a sash going through there. Yeah. And when I researched this style, it was more like a sports dress that women wore. And this little dress is $35. Next we have, this is very dainty. This is what the ladies from the 1920s wore under their flapper dresses or their 1920s dresses. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with this little chemise. It's got the flared panties. And it's a silk peach dainty lingerie teddy. It's got the little rose. I had this dry cleaned. Simply because of that silk rose, I didn't want it bleeding onto the rest of the material. And this little teddy, this little 1920s under outfit is $70. We have a silk beige and lace work at the top. Snaps up the side. And there is nothing wrong with this either. I had this dry cleaned. And it's a lace slip. And this little slip is $60. I don't think there's any spots on it. No. I think this is supposed to be crimped like this because it's in the dress itself. It's still strong. And that little slip is $60. And next we have a green 1920s velvet little dress. This is the inside. That's what the antique velvet looked like back in the day. Lace top, and I believe this is lined. Yeah, the lace part is lined. Little velvet bow. I had this dry cleaned, and this is $45. And now we have a very cute, almost like a nautical inspired rust colored all silk tie. This is so detailed. Little ruching at the top, a rhinestone loop here where this comes together. Looks like all those rhinestones are there. That's amazing. And then the little studs that look like triangular studs in the silk threading, and then coming down to a pleat and more silk decorative threading. This is beautiful. And that's the back of it. And it does have issues. And that is right here. There's some holes right there. But the shoulders are good, strong. I did try to do some armpit spot cleaning. I didn't dare do any of this spot cleaning because, like I said, the dye in these silk dresses, these 1920s dresses, tend to bleed and fade. They really have to be dry cleaned. But the cleaners could probably figure out how to get those stains out. Again, restoration. And this little dress is $45. Yeah, $45. I said how much for the green one, right? And now we have a periwinkle blue or cornflower blue. Someone will, and I've heard this color named cornflower. I call it periwinkle. All this gathered like tiny ruching on the sides, very beautiful. Bow in the front. And this is lined, I believe. Yeah, it's got a silk lining underneath. Yep. Now, in doing the research, I know Coco Chanel made a dress similar to this. I'm not saying this is by Coco Chanel by any means, but I know that there is a sample of a dress. Now, this is the front. What I was showing you is the back. This is the front of the dress. Now, there's a little bit of fading on the silk here, and that's what I mean by these dresses. They can, I don't think they can be washed, but there is some fading. But they could be dyed as well. I don't know. I would consult a conservator before I did anything to these dresses. And this is a little silk rose. This is so sweet. Now this dress is $50. It's a sheer silk crepe. And that's the only issue on this dress. There's no holes, there's no rips. Is this little bit of fading. So, yeah, $50 for this little dress. Cape-like collar in the back. And next we have, here's another Coco Chanel style dress. I saw this in a magazine, but it was a black dress, but it had this going on, Coco Chanel's dress. I'm sure her dresses were probably copied quite a bit. But yeah, and this is going into the 30s, 1930s, but this is late 1920s going into the early 30s. This is pink or peach silk, another sheer crepe silk dress. I believe this is lined. Yes, it is. Silk lining. There it is. And I did have this cleaned. And I paired it with a vintage Lee Sands necklace. Mother of pearl. This is a morning glory in here flower. Abalone shell. 9-inch drop. 9-inch to 12-inch drop. The medallion. And this necklace is $28. Now, what I'm thinking about doing as I go on, I might be giving away some necklaces with the dresses. I'm thinking about doing that because I got so much jewelry. Now here we have a 1920s black heavy silk with satin backing, 1920s coat. It comes narrow at the sleeves and it has the pin tucking on the sleeves for decoration. See the pin tucking? It has a tie at the top, one button, fabric covered button, and that's the front of it, and this is the back of it. And so it on the bottom it's got some really classy the way it's designed, it's shaped. It's that pin tuck coming to like almost like pleats on the bottom. There is no issues with this coat. It's not coming apart at the seams. Very nice, very good condition. And this 1920s coat is $85. We have a black wool 1920s coat trimmed. This is monkey fur trimmed, and this is monkey fur in the back. Now I thought that this was separated from the collar, but that's the way it's supposed to be. I was gonna sew it right up here, but I don't think it's supposed to be sewed that way. So there's this, so that it just hangs in the back there. I had this dry cleaned. Here's the dry cleaning tag. And it's got monkey fur around the bottom. There's the back. And it's got beautiful decorative buttons on the sleeves, and the sleeves are slim and very very sculpted. Same, no buttons are missing. And it does have, looks like it has a hole there, but again, restorers can fix that. In fact, I could probably fix that. And then there's a hole there. And then the sleeves need to be tacked or patched. But that's satin, gray satin lining. And this coat is $300. It's rare. And I say something about selling fur, but I see that when I researched this coat, I see there were other coats lined in genuine monkey fur that were going for $600, $800. So I don't know what to say about that, but I don't condone killing monkeys for their fur or killing any animal for their fur. But as an American Indian, though, we do have a right to use animal fur in our ceremonies and in our regalia. I mean, we don't use monkey fur for anything, but I just want to say, as long as that little monkey gave up its life, or however they got that monkey fur, let's not waste it, because as a Native American, I don't believe in wasting things. Next we have an Art Deco kimono that the blue lady is wearing. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to find a hanger. Where's that hanger? This is an all silk Art Deco kimono, 1920s. Now I did research and I did find this exact kimono. The only difference was their kimono was lined in black with the red, kind of what the opposite of what this is. But this has both black and red in it. And it was on the website called Sugar something. And I should have saved that, but they were asking almost $700 for their kimono. I did do some restoration. I tacked it up because some of the seams, I think on the shoulder or in the arm, and I used silk thread. So I try to match the types of thread. If I have to do any mending, I try to match the type of fabric thread that I use. So now it has no issues. And this kimono is, Art Deco kimono is $185. And according to what else is out there in kimonos like this from the 1920s Art Deco, $180 is cheap. Did I say 180? 185. Okay. Now this 1920s dress was in the last video on the mannequin. And this is the 1920s dress that is in the best shape. There are absolutely no condition issues with this one. It is brown velvet around the hips and brown velvet on the sleeves, drops on the sleeves, and it is rust colored silk. And that is not lined, but I do have, I have a white linen slip under there. Because you'd have to wear something under here. So I have a white linen 1920s slip. This slip is in great condition. And this dress is $50. Boy, that's a steal. And the slip is $40. Now, so I would I would keep the slip with the dress. So altogether, that is $90 dress and slip together. And last but not least, and what we're going to do today, we've got all the rest of these dresses and jewelry, because for the sake of time, and we don't want this to get too long, and we're already almost an hour. We don't want it to go over that. We're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to do the rest of the video. That will include the 1930s dresses, the hats, the purses, the 1940s dresses, and a couple 1950s items. Now, what I wanted to do was show you some of the purses that would go with antique dresses and 1930s dresses, and hats that you would wear with them, to give you an example of what would be worn during those eras, dresses and purses and gloves. But we'll come back here tomorrow. Today is Memorial Day Monday, so we'll be back here Tuesday evening, early evening, and finish it. So, oh, one more thing that I need to show you, and we'll call it quits till tomorrow, is this, and I'm not going to take this off the table. I don't know if you can see this, but this is an antique, very fragile, beaded, what we call an overdress. This is like a little dress or long blouse that would have gone over a tubular Edwardian dress. So there'd be a little tubular dress underneath this. This is all silk, net lace, beaded glass beads and rhinestones. And it's fastened by hooks and snaps. And what I might do is I might get that restored. I don't know yet. I haven't made up my mind. But if anyone was interested in it and wanted to restore it, you can email me, gigisvintagetherapy@gmail.com, if you're interested in it. Let me know. But this is beautiful, and it's a very, very nice piece of history for collectors out there. Needs some work. Now I've got it wrapped in tissue. And by the way, I don't keep these dresses on hangers. When we're done here, I'm gonna take them off the hangers and put them in I'm gonna store them, but they're not gonna stay on hangers because that weakens the shoulders, because you know they're old. And this, I wrap it in tissue and I put it in a box. And already there's some rhinestones coming off, but they're in the tissue. So, and I'm not going to pick this up either because of the fragileness of the item. Okay, so with that, let me. Okay, so tomorrow we'll go through all these dresses that you see behind me, and then we've got some on the racks over here. Those are all 1930s. And then we'll go to the other rack for the 1940s and a few of the 1950s. In the next video session, I'm going to do either all 1950s or all wedding dresses like I had mentioned before in previous sessions. And then we'll do the jewelry that I have out. So, miigwech for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And as always, I am way into education. I like to talk about the historical part of these garments, and I like to educate anyone that wants to resell and learn and salvage these antique and vintage items, because we're doing Mama Nanaki, Mother Earth. We're doing a good thing by keeping them out of landfills. All the resellers are doing a great job at that. And all the resellers, I think anybody that resells stuff, they have to know what they're selling, and they research so they know the history behind each item. And so they are educators. And I just want to say a shout out to YouTube, because YouTube is such a good venue for it's educational. It's an educational venue, form of helping people learn things. And that means we don't have to be destitute. As long as we have some skills, we can be selling these kinds of things and doing some good deeds, like saving our Mother Earth. Miigwech, and good night.